Good day everyone, my name is Ariel Yumol and I will be doing the first part of our report, Chapter 14, Monetary, Fiscal, and Income Policy and Inflation, together with my group members, Christine Acate and Jocelyn Bolante. And before I formally start the report, I would like to have a quick introduction about myself. Again, my name is Ariel Yumol and I am a working student. I work in an international insurance company based in the US, and it's located in our local company. Our office is located in Bonifacio, Global City. I was born and raised in Tarlac, and I'm also a second courser. I am a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, major in management, and minor in banking and finance. Well, what I can say about Tarlac or Capas in particular, this is where the obelisk located, where the infamous Bataan Death March, on that historical mark where the Death March ended. That was happened way back, or a long time ago. Happened in World War II. Also, we have the Bueno Hot Spring, and the most recent one would be the Bueno Bridge. I think it's part of the Build Build It program, and it was finally been completed already, and now it is famous as a local uh, full trip destination. Sometimes bloggers go there to do some videos as part of their hobbies or of their jobs. So much about it. So let's start with the report, and I'll be starting with monetary policy. Monetary policy and action that a country's central bank or government can take influence how much money is in the economy and how much it is cost to borrow. It affects the supply of money, basically currency, plus commercial banks' demand deposits, and the rate of interest. The monetary policy objectives include maintaining price stability, controlling inflation, stabilizing the financial system, and promoting sustainability. So basically, the role of the central bank of each country in its economy is to control how much money will be in the circulation. Sometimes we have this question in our minds na bakit hindi na lang mag-print ng maraming pera ang isang bansa and then give it to the people. Di ba, there's a point in our um, life na parang tinanong natin bakit hindi na lang ganun. Hindi ba posible na mag-print at mag-print na lang ng maraming pera ang central bank and give it to the people? And that would be something na impossible because circulation of or how much money should be in the circulation would be depending on the economy ng isang bansa, kung gaano karaming resources na they can offer, na pwede nilang ibenta, because marami mang pera in circulation kung wala namang mga produkto na mabibili. Ang mangyayari dyan mawawala ng value yung pera in circulation kahit gaano pa to karami. Now I remember in our managerial economics, we watched a video about hyperinflation happened in Zimbabwe. So that was in 1920s na the dictator president instructed the country's central bank to print a lot of money, one after another. So ang nangyari, nawalan ng value yung pera. So imagine, for a cup of coffee, they need a bag of money uh, for for that just a cup of coffee. And even some people they use the bricks of money in replacement for firewoods, or even children just playing uh, the money as a toy. They play it as like parang bricks, parang pinagpapatong-patungan na lang nila. So even when someone, for example, naiwan yung bag of money sa street, for example, um, hindi nila pinag-iinteresan yung money. Mas kinukuha pa nila yung bag, because the bag is more valuable than the money itself, or than the money inside the bag. So how does monetary policy control inflation? Inflation can be controlled by a contractionary monetary policy is one of managing inflation. It aims to reduce the supply of money within an economy by lowering the price of bonds and rising interest. Thus, consumption falls, prices fall, and inflation slows down. One example of contractionary economic policy is the central bank increasing reserve requirement. This means banks have to keep more cash on hand and cannot lend out as much to household and firms. So, may mga action na ginagawa ang central bank to control the money in circulation at para maiwasan nga yung inflation. Ang sinasabi dito, isa na dito yung contractionary monetary policy. So, for example, nakikita nila na masyadong maraming money in circulation and nagiging cause ng inflation. So, ang ginagawa nila, kinokontrol nila yung paglabas ng pera from central bank. So, ang isa dito, they lower the prices of the bonds and tinataasan yung interest. Sa ganon, mas konti yung magkaka-interest na kumuha ng mga bonds. So, dahil dito, mababawasan yung purchasing power, mababawasan yung demand. So, may slow down yung inflation, because yung mga prices ng mga produkto ay mare-regulate or minsan bababaan. Next is fiscal policy. So, the use of government spending and taxation to influence the economy. Government typically use the fiscal policy to promote strong and sustainable growth and reduce poverty. The Philippine government generates revenues through personal and income tax collection, but a small portion of non-tax revenues is also collected through fees and licenses. Privatization, proceeds and income from government operations and state-owned enterprises. Fiscal policy, taxation, and government spending comprises another tool for controlling income, employment, and prices. So, fiscal policy, on the other hand, this is the government action or policies towards controlling or influencing the economy of a country. So, kung ang monetary policy, it involves the central bank of an economy or country. Fiscal policy naman, government ang involved dito. Siyempre, kung may ginagawa yung central bank, also the government, using the fiscal policy, they work hand in hand para ma-regulate yung or ma-improve yung economy ng isang bansa. So, kung ang monetary policy is for the central bank, so sa fiscal policy naman, it involves the taxation or collection of taxes as well as government spending para makontrol din yung like an income distribution or creating jobs for the people and stabilizing the prices of the basic commodities and other products being offered by the country. Tax policy also has other purposes, raising funds for public spending being the most obvious one. The power of tax is an important component of making a nation state. The most important taxation goal is to mobilize resources for public expenditure. In addition, we consider the impact of taxes on stability of income and prices. However, achieving these crucial taxation goals must be viewed in light of other goals such as improved income distribution, efficient resource allocation, increased capital and enterprise, and administrative feasibility. The government must consider all of these goals when designing tax scheme or schemes to achieve rapid economic growth, to improve the lot of the poor, and to stabilize prices. So, ang sinasabi dito sa tax policy or sa fiscal policy, it is not only concentrated in tax collection. So, maraming bagay din ang kinoconsider ng isang bansa as a whole para sa sustainable economy. So, isa din dito, yung nabanggit ko kanina na yung equal or improved income distribution. Ito yung paano mo ba o paano magkakaroon ng programa na kung saan mapapaabot mo sa marginalized people ng isang bansa. Efficient resource allocation, and also administrative feasibility naman, we will discuss it later on about administrative feasibility. How does fiscal policy control inflation? This is called contractionary fiscal policy. To reduce the total level of spending, the government could increase tax rates as more income is collected in taxes. Less is available for spending, reducing inflationary pressure. Less government spending would work in the same way. The Philippines have created contractionary fiscal policy. They have done so by increasing the social tax rates from 10.4% to 11%. This tax increase was put into place so that the government will be able to generate more income. So, isa sa mga pinagkukuhanan ng budget ng government is the collection of taxes. So, isa na rito yung personal tax ng mga citizens ng isang bansa. So, sabi, when the government impose taxes, so nagiging less yung purchasing power ng isang individual, and then because of that, mas nagiging konti of course yung demand sa mga products. So for the next slide, we will go into details about it, how the taxation works. Stability of income and prices. Developed countries use fiscal and monetary policy to achieve macroeconomics goals of economic growth, employment, and price changes. When there is a high unemployment, the government can increase spending and decrease taxes to increase aggregate demand and employment. In times of inflation, government can reduce spending and increase taxes to decrease aggregate demand and diminish price rises. So, tulad ng nabanggit kanina, monetary policies at saka fiscal policies, so they work together to achieve the macroeconomics goals ng isang bansa. to promote growth, employment, and stabilize prices. Sabi, when there is a high unemployment, so here in the Philippines, sometimes nakikita natin sa news yung about improvement in employment rates na ganitong month nag-improve siya, ganitong term ng Pangulo from the past president, kino-compare nila yung employment rates. So, ang sabi, when there is a high unemployment, so ang ginagawa ng gobyerno para makatulong sa mga tao at saka ma-stabilize yung economy ay gumagawa sila ng maraming projects, naglalabas sila ng pera sa mga projects to create an employment. So ang nagiging result nito ay nagkakaroon ng trabaho or earnings yung mga tao, nagkakaroon ng purchasing power, they have the ability to purchase products, so tumataas yung demand, so nagkakaroon ng galaw o ng economic activity ang isang bansa. Hindi siya nagiging parang stagnant just because walang capacity yung mga tao na bumili. So even for example, prices are very low but people do not have the ability to pay for them, so because of unemployment. So that's one of the ways na ginagawa ng government to increase the government spending, like creating projects, creating employment. However naman, in opposite, in times of inflation, government can reduce spending and increase taxes to decrease aggregate demand and diminish prices. Now we go to improving income distribution. The progressive personal income tax takes a larger proportion of income from people in upper income brackets and a small portion from people in lower income brackets. Thus, income distribution after taxes is supposed to be less unequal than before taxes. So, ang sinasabi dito, to improve the income distribution, mas malaki yung tax ng mga higher earnings or tinatawag nating upper income brackets as to compare to those in low income brackets. Example, here in the Philippines, if you are a minimum wage earner, you have a zero tax. So I think that would be around, if you're earning, like, if I'm not mistaken, 21,000 to 23,000 per month, you don't pay tax. So in that case, nagkakaroon ng equal income distribution because you are a low or a minimum wage earner. Pag wala ng tax, mas nagiging malaki ang take-home pay as to compare to those above the minimum earner, as the earnings becomes higher, mas malaki yung tax. So parang may mga percentage yan, may mga bracket. Say for example, if it's 23,000 to 30,000, it will be like 10%. Then if you're 40,000 to 50,000, it will be 12%. So that it would be that would not be the exact percent. It's just an example. So also, sabi, excise taxes or import tariff on luxury items. Ano ba yung mga luxury items? Ang halimbawa nito na naisip ko, yung mga luxury cars, mga sports cars, mga luxury bags, yung mga Lamborghini, mga Prada, mga ganyan, mga Versace na mga bag. So sino ba yung mga nakaka-afford nitong mga luxury items? Ito yung mga rich people, because ordinary people or marginalized people, these are items that they cannot afford. So ang ginagawa ng government, they impose, of course, higher taxes for these luxury items at nakakatulong ito overall uh, to maximize the collection of taxes in a country, and these taxes collectively they use it um, for government spending for public benefits. Efficiency of resources allocation or efficiency of resource allocation. One of the goals of a tax system then is to encourage efficient use of resources or at least minimize inefficiencies. Export taxes reduce the output of goods whose prices are determined on the world market. Such tax shift resources from export to domestic production with the consequent loss of efficiency and foreign exchange earnings. Import duties raise the price of inputs and capital goods, need for agricultural and industrial exports and domestic goods, the price of locally produced goods requiring imported inputs increase, altering consumer choice. Increasing capital and enterprise. The government can mobilize saving through direct taxes on personal income, corporate profits, and property, taxes on luxury items and sales, and value-added taxes. These taxes result in a higher rate of capital formation if government has higher investment rate than the people tax. The government can use tax policy to encourage domestic and foreign entrepreneurship. Tax revenue can be used for transport, power, and technical training to create external economies for private investment. Government, development banks, development corporations, and loans boards can lend capital through private entrepreneurship. So, ang sinasabi dito, aside from the personal taxes or the progressive personal tax, the government has like other options to maximize the collection of taxes, and that would be the value added tax. So, ito yung for every commodity or item that you buy, there would be a percentage of tax on it. So aside from the personal tax that a citizen is paying for employed citizens, for every commodities that they buy, there would be an automatic VAT or value added tax on it, and every establishment would remit this VAT collection also to the government. So this option can also increase the capital formation of the government, and increases the ability of the government for spending for economic activities or improve the economic growth of a country. Now let's go to fiscal incentives. Fiscal incentives to attract business, especially from abroad, include tax holidays for the first few years of operation, income averaging where losses in one year can be offset against profit in another, accelerated depreciation, import duty relief, lower tax rates for reinvested business profits, and preferred purchases through government departments. So ang naisip ko dito, for example, here in the Philippines, merong fiscal incentives ang ating gobyerno to attract foreign investors. For example, the one located in Clark Economic or Freeport Economic Zone, also in SBMA or Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority, and also the one in Laguna. So in this area, marami dito mga foreign investors na nagtayuan ng mga uh, mga mga planta or mga manufacturing uh, establishment, or some of them are renting. So ang government natin, when they started the business here in the Philippines, as part of their agreement ay meron mga fiscal incentives. So example nito ay tinatawag natin yung mga tax holidays. Sabi dito for the first year of operation, so nagiging less yung tax nila as compared to the, for example, to the companies not within the economic zone. So also meron ding mga income averaging where losses in one year can be offset against profit in another. So these are some examples of mga fiscal incentives na ino-offer ng government para yung mga dayuhang mamuhunan ay ano sila, yung parang ma-attract sila to start their business here. Siyempre, pagka nagkaroon ng mga foreign investor, magkakaroon ng local employment. At pag nagkaroon ng local employment, yung mga tao, kakaroon sila ng income, they could have earnings, magkakaroon sila ng purchasing power, magkakaroon sila ng improvement of their social status, social and economic status. Administrative feasibility. Some developed countries use income taxes, especially the progressive personal tax, to mobilize large amount of resources for public expenditures, improve income distribution, stabilize income prices, and prevent inefficient allocation that's come from a heavy reliance of indirect taxes. So, sa administrative, from the word administrative, it refers to the sistema ng gobyerno kung paano magkakaroon ng magandang programa para sa government spending, paano maayos yung sistema ng tax collection, paano gagawin when it comes to fiscal policy para ma-stabilize yung mga presyo ng mga bilihin at magkaroon ng parang even distribution ng mga resources kung saan parang yung mga mayayaman lamang ang nakikinabang sa resources ng isang bansa, but with the government programs, nagkakaroon ng paraan kung paano maipapaabot sa mga, sabihin nating marginalized individuals, yung mga programa at saka yung mga resources ng isang bansa. So, the following conditions must be met if income tax is to become a major revenue sources of a country. So, sabi niya dito sa mga bansang kung saan yung budget or yung pinagkukuhanan ng isang bansa ay heavily rely on income taxes. So, meron daw mga conditions para maging successful or maging progressive ang economy ng isang bansa kung nagre-rely siya heavily on progressive income tax ng mga tao. So, ang naisip ko dito tulad ng bansang Singapore. Singapore, wala siyang ganong mga natural resources pero nagre-rely sila sa mga tao. As well as South Korea, wala siyang ganong mga resources pero nagre-rely din sila sa mga taxes ng mga tao, sa workforce o sa labor workforce nila. So ito daw yung mga conditions. Number 1, existence of predominantly money economy. So ano ba yung money economy? Money economy is a system or stage of economic life on which money replaces barter in the exchange of goods, a high standard of literacy among taxpayers. So, pansin natin sa bansang South Korea and Singapore, napakataas ng literacy nila. Marami yung mga nag-graduate ng college at napakataas ng education system nila. Napakahigpit ng competition when it comes to employment. napakataas ng standard nila when it comes to qualifications. Number 3, widespread use of accounting record honestly and reliability maintained. So, siguro ang pinaka-simple explanation nito is maganda yung tax system nila, yung na ginagamit. A large degree of voluntary taxpayer compliance. So, ito yung parang voluntary na pagbabayad ng mga tao o ng mga taxpayers, kahit wala mga tax evaders na mga gaano, honest sila, alam nila kung yung responsibility nila at obligation nila na magbayad ng tax. And honest and efficient administration. So, hindi lang ang gobyerno nagre-rely sa honest or voluntary compliance ng mga tao, kundi dapat ang gobyerno din ay may programa to fight graft and corruption, magkaroon ng mga honest na mga leaders or honest na gobyerno. Increasing the state's capacity to collect taxes, the value-added tax. In a weak or failing low-income countries, especially those facing internal conflicts, such as several in sub-Saharan Africa, the state does not provide minimal function of defense, law and order, health and education, and macroeconomic stability. Government need a social compact with their citizens to provide basic needs in return for tax contributions according to the ability to pay. Replacing widely evaded direct taxes such as personal income tax with indirect taxes is a way to increase state legitimacy and raise tax revenue. In some countries use value added tax. So aside sa progressive personal tax na kung saan one of the ways to maximize the collection of taxes would be yung value added tax. So somehow we have already discussed the value added tax kung saan we are imposing certain percentage of tax for every commodities that a person would buy. So how many countries have implemented VAT? So we have 175 countries. Which country has the highest VAT? The EU countries with the highest standard VAT rates are Hungary with 27%, Croatia, Denmark, and Sweden all at 25%. Luxembourg levies the lowest standard VAT rate at 16%, followed by Malta at 18%, Cyprus, Germany, and Romania all at 19%. The Philippines has VAT rate of 12%. Now we go to political constraints to tax policy. Politics may be as obstructive as administration in using taxes. Economic and political power is likely to be concentrated among the richer few, so that rich and influential taxpayer can prevent tax reform that affect them adversely. Property owners and the upper classes often successfully oppose a progressive income tax or seizable property tax. Introduce tax loopholes beneficial to them or evade tax payments without penalty. Tax loopholes, a provision in the laws governing taxation that allows people to reduce their taxes. Loopholes often result from poor wording or vague language in a rule of law. So ito yung sinasabi natin kanina na pagkakaroon ng honest government system or administrative system. Sometimes yung mga politicians or mga leaders natin, nagkakaroon sila ng influence in creating tax policy kung saan they create acts and or mga batas pinapasa nila, and then these policies usually they promote their own interests. So nagkakaroon ng loopholes, nasabing tax loopholes na beneficial to them. Or sometimes if they own like properties, gumagawa sila ng mga batas na para mapababa mga um, yung taxes na babayaran nila sa mga properties na they own. And also may mga mga businessman or mga politician na hindi nagbabayad ng buwis. So mga tax evaders. So I wouldn't be discussing in details about it, but sometimes may mga nakikita tayong mga news about politicians not paying or businessmen not paying taxes to the government at yung inahabol ng BIR natin or Bureau of Internal Revenue. Expenditure policy. Fiscal policy is the use of public spending to influence an economy. For example, a government might decide to invest in roads and bridges, thereby increasing employment and stimulating economic demand. The expenditure budget of the government highlights the allotment of funds for disbursement to different ministry sectors, departments in a financial year. So can government vary spending to regulate income, employment, and prices? When government spending increases, the level of output in the country increases, causing the unemployment rates to decrease. The surge in government spending can increase demand for goods and service, leading to higher prices and potentially inflation. So, an expenditure policy, ito yung tumutukoy sa budget ng isang bansa. So, from those collected taxes, so inaalat yung budget, kung gaano kalaki yung nakolekta. So, inaalat siya sa different departments. For example, here in the Philippines, every year, I think meron tayong mga trillion of pesos na budget on which is being allocated to, like for example, Department of Health, Department of Education, Public Works and Highway, na kung saan mabusisi, pinag-aaralang mabuti yung amount na binibigay to this department. I think this is the job of our Senate leaders as well as our legislative leaders, and then ina-approve ito ng presidente. So, dumadaan siya sa maraming approval bago ito ma-implement. So, will be the end of my slide, and the second and third part will be discussed by my group mates, Christina Cate and Jocelyn Balante. Good day, everyone, and thank you so much.